Nation. The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
Episode 81 of the Sports Card Nation is now on the air. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great show. I know I say that all the time, and I'll probably say it every time, but we really do. We have Andrew Thiele, Topps 2020 project artist, but multi-talented gentleman, as all the artists on this project. Still really at the forefront of the hobby. It's probably going to be one of the lead stories all the way till it culminates in December. So we're going to continue to have the artists on. I know there's some folks that may not be fans of the project or the release, but it's such a huge hobby topic. It's something I'm personally enjoying. So from a selfish point of view, I care about it, and I'm going to have the artists on the show. And so Andrew's going to be on the show. He hails from New Jersey, but he does his business in New York and has been in New York a while. You know, New York is now in his blood. We'll talk about that, talk about the project and his approach, and you know, whether he checks it out on the secondary market and those sort of things. And you know, the one thing I take from all the interviews so far with the 2020 project talent is they're multi-talented, and we give credit where credit's due. Many of them were well known, maybe not to hobbyists, but were well known in the art world, and now they're translating it over to the hobby world and doing a great job. And even the ones that may not be a fan of the project or don't like the release, you can't argue that these folks are not talented and doing a tremendous job. And the ante keeps getting raised. The artists are hitting their stride, and we're going to have more of them on as this project rolls along. And this is going to be a forefront topic in the hobby all the way till its culmination in December. So if you don't like the project, this is the year. It's something that's never been done before. Everybody is covering it, and everything is covering it. Even national news programs and things outside the hobby. This has transcended past just being internally in the hobby. It is what it is. Someone like myself who was lukewarm at first and now aboard and just loves the work and the art, and not every card, obviously. I don't get every card. I pick up what I tend to like, and that's the beauty of art. What I might love, you might think's garbage, and what you might think is not very good, I love it, and that's the beauty of art. So it's great that these talented folks give us a little of their time and share their insight on the show. So with that being said, let's get this thing kicked off.
Let's go!
Time for this week's
Incoming!
product releases. All right, out today, Friday the 19th, 2020, Topps Big League Baseball Hobby. Also today, the 19th, 2020, Leaf Flash Football. Topps Finest 2020 Baseball, also today, the 19th. Also today, 2020, Panini Prism Baseball. And 2020 Topps Pro Debut Baseball. On the 24th, Top Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker Series 2. Also on the 24th, 2020 Topps Clearly Authentic Baseball. Also the 24th, TriStar Hidden Treasures Autographed Football Mini Helmets. Also the 24th, 2020 Panini Chronicles Collegiate Draft Picks Football. That's a mouthful. Also on the 24th, 2019-20 Topps Chrome UEFA Champions League Soccer. Also the 24th, holy crap, a big day there on the 24th, still going. 2019-20 Topps Museum Collection, UEFA Champions League Soccer. Also same day, 2020 Topps Big League Baseball Collector version. 2020, also on the 24th, Topps Star Wars Authentics Autograph 8x10 photo and trading card box. And last but not least, 2019-20 Panini Impeccable Soccer. There are your releases. Again, with the pandemic still coming out of the early stages of rebound, some of these may be delayed or postponed indefinitely. So stay tuned.
Sports Card Nation Podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast. Now on tons of platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Listened to in 44 different countries globally, Sports Card Nation is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, our awesome guests on the show, and our tremendous sponsors making us what we are today. Remember, without you, there's no us.
It's time for What's Cracking. Here's a story that's making the rounds. You probably may have heard it already, but it's worthy of repeating for those that haven't. Are you missing that 101 Giannis card that you're trying to hit? There's a reason for that, potentially. Looks like the Greek Freak is a card collector. Recently posted on his social media some cards that he has in his collection, as he termed it. And some of those were 101s. One was from a Mosaic. There was a triple auto that was unfinished that apparently he needed to send back so the rest can sign it. But don't look like that's coming back to Panini. Obviously, Panini holds the basketball license. So this is all their cards from what we could tell from the social media. But, you know, who's at fault here? I almost don't blame Giannis here. Probably, you know, he's not originally from this country. So maybe he doesn't grasp the concept of what these things are truly worth. And he just says, hey, I'll send back all these and I'll just keep this one. Maybe I'm giving him too much of a pass. Maybe he knows exactly what they're worth. Who do you blame here? I think you got to start with Panini. And the problem is, you know, they're releasing these products every week, different ones. So they probably lose track of even what's out there. And, you know, there needs to be someone that is in charge of these things, is counting, not so much counting them, but coordinating what ones they have back, what's still out there, following up with the agents and managers and publicists to get these cards back as quick as they can. When they get back, they need to quality control to make sure they're all there. And when they don't see a 101, they need to say to the athlete, hey, we didn't receive this card. We need this card. And, you know, apparently that's not going on. And who gets hurt? The consumer. I mean, someone's not going to pull some of these 101s and low printed cards because Giannis kept them for his collection. He's not the first one to do it. We all heard about the Zach Ryder incident earlier this year. And let's be real, folks. Those are the ones we know about. There's some we'll never know about that just never come to light of day, at least not right away. And so I don't think this is crazy uncommon. I don't think it's a common occurrence. I think it happens more than we know. I almost want to give Giannis a pass that he doesn't know any better. I mean, if he knew any better, he probably wouldn't be putting it out there for all the social media world to see. And he just thinks, well, I'll send all these back. Everyone will be happy. He doesn't know all the logistics and how the hobby works and how keeping that 1-to-1 actually affects the product and the overall hobby. And so, that's, again, ball falls in Panini's court to manage this stuff, track this stuff, and stay on this stuff. And not the first time Panini's dropped the ball, and not the last time Panini's going to drop the ball. I have a feeling I'm not going to get a Christmas card from Panini, but I call it like I see it. So, Panini, come on, man. Giannis saw those cards, and this is what he said.
I'll cop that. All the designer, yeah, I'll cop that. I'll cop that.
Give it back, Giannis. All right, on to other things. Are you a close relative of Jimmy Mascione in New Jersey? If you are, you might be in for a windfall of money. Uncle Jimmy, as he's lovingly referred to, recently died in March, age 97, lived a nice full life, and in the attic they found thousands of vintage cards, including some 1993 Gowdy cards of Jimmy Fox, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, in very good condition, with great color, and an added feature: legitimate autographs of those legendary superstars. And those have been PSA graded, the cards themselves and the autos. And there's going to be 2,000 separate lots on Wheatland auction. They value this whole collection at millions of dollars. That's right, millions of dollars. There's 6 Ruth autos as part of the collection. And like I said, thousands of vintage cards, including the famous 33 Gowdies that are autographed by those legends. And it's going to be, it's being called one of the largest finds in history, if not the largest find. So making big news, putting Jersey in the news of the hobby. But Uncle Jimmy left quite an inheritance to his next of kin there, as these things go to Wheatland auction and bring in what apparently is going to be millions of dollars. So congrats, Mascione family. So into the lead up of Long Gone, the Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa documentary, the one-show documentary. McGwire's and Sosa stuff were bringing premium values in the lead up, but apparently that is not long lasting. That stuff is already starting to come down. Long Gone garnered 775K in viewership compared to 5.6 million that Jordan's Last Dance brought in. So, everyone tried to compare these two things and the trampoline effect of both, but the McGwire-Sosa doc in the minor leagues of The Last Dance, and hopefully you sold your McGwire and Sosa stuff before the show was done, because now it looks like it's very similar to years ago pricing as the roller coaster comes back down off the hill. I was hesitant to mention this in What's Cracking, but it is part of hobby news. Maybe it's news you don't care about, but it affects my opinion and what I do. Commons for Kids, a great organization that donates cards to kids, and they still will. Full credit where credit's due. They fully will. And whether you support them, that is your business. But they just announced that due to their own personal beliefs, they will no longer be donating cards to police precincts as they once did. And that's something that really hits home to me. I have 7 friends, folks, that are in the law enforcement agencies. I had an uncle who has passed away, Jimmy Capobianco, a pretty famous New York City detective. And law enforcement is very important to me, important to all of us. And, yes, there's some bad apples in there. There are bad apples in every profession. So to throw out a whole agency, a whole group, because of the actions of a few makes no logical sense. And, the law enforcement agencies that got these cards from Commons for Kids would use it as community outreach to bridge that bond and that gap between kids and law enforcement, to bring down that fear factor that, hey, we're people just like you. We're here to help you, serve you, protect you. And so this decision did not sit well with me. I let the operator of Commons for Kids know my feelings, and I have donated cards there prior, and I actually had almost a full box ready to go that way again. But due to this recent decision, I can't in full heart support that, and so I will not be doing that any longer. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just reporting on their stance. It's up to you ultimately how you want to take that. I took it in the negative fashion, and I won't be doing business, if you will. Not that there's any money exchanging hands, but I won't be supporting them when they're not supporting, or they took a stance that's not supportive of law enforcement, who are great. Most, 95% of them are great, wonderful people who put their life on the line every day to protect us and maybe save us from potential danger. And many die themselves in the line of fire in the process what they do. And I don't like to get political on the show, and I rarely do. And I just wanted to report that so out there, and you can make your own informed decision. All right, enough about that. Jeter Transcendent, it's coming. It's going to be expensive. 40 boxes are only going to be produced. There are 14 Jeter autos in each box, meaning he signed 560 cards. I don't know the SRP on this product, but it's safe to say is going to be 5 digits. There's going to be a Jeter party, and each one of these 40 cases will have the golden ticket, if you will, to attend that Jeter party with Derek Jeter and Topps. Now, I do not know if he's going to make you put the cell phone in the basket at the door at the Jeter party. Some of you might get that inside joke. Some of you might not. Look it up. But you will be invited with that ticket to the Jeter party. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not even a huge Derek Jeter guy, but this is really interesting to me, depending on the price point. I'm almost think you may be able to make out on this product, because here's why. You're going to get those 14 autos and the event ticket. There's going to be, if I'm looking at this right, 3 1-of-1 Jeter autos. A patch auto numbered to 1-of-1. A 3,000 hit auto numbered to 1-of-1. A final season, 5 autos of those. And all of those are going to be numbered 3 or less. 6 captain career autos. 1 buyback auto numbered to 40 or less. And so... 2 1-of-1s. So there are going to be 2 1-of-1s out of the 14 autos. There's going to be 5 autos numbered to 3 or less. 1 and a buyback auto numbered to 40 or less, and 6 captain career autos. So 14 autos guaranteed in one product. I will tell you this. I'd like to buy one of these, and I don't traditionally buy into any breaks. And I traditionally definitely don't buy into those big money breaks like Transcendent, where you get like one card and it's like a lottery. But it's going to be real interesting, the break buy-ins to the Jeter Transcendent product, because there's going to be 14 shots to hit an auto, including 3 1-of-1. So this is, for not being a Jeter fan, my interest is definitely peaked. These things are definitely going to sell out, no doubt. And, we myself included, we were a little critical of Topps for, spending big money to sign Jeter. They got to make that up, and this is one way to do it. And by Lord, they are going to do so with this product. We're going to step aside for a quick break, but when we come back, we'll close out the What's Cracking segment. Pastime Marketplace offers a line of durable graded card cases made for collectors who want high-quality graded card storage that is virtually indestructible. Their cases are waterproof, dustproof, airtight, and designed to protect your valuable collection. Check them all out at www.pastimemarketplace.com. Protect your best with the best. We're back to finish out the What's Cracking segment. A couple more news stories to report. The Zion Logo Man 101 out of Nationals Treasure is like the golden ticket. Everyone waiting for it to come out. And some of the big boys have put on bounties for it. The latest, at the last I heard, who knows, it might be higher now, was $600,000 to whoever has the card or pulls the card or gets the card and decides to sell it. I think a lot of that obviously is based on the LeBron and Jordan Logo Man, unsigned, that brought $900K, and someone wants to hold that trophy piece, if you will. Obviously there's only one of them, and someone wants to have sole bragging rights. So whoever gets this card, whether it be through a break or themselves opening the product, it's going to be like winning the lottery, so to speak. So good luck, everybody. Definitely get a good accountant. You know, that kind of sale, half of it is going to Uncle Sam. So not as much money as you think going to exchange hands. Still a good chunk of change any way you slice it. Also want to announce that the Negro League Legend set, 184 cards, the Centennial Negro League Legend set, which many Major League Baseball Hall of Famers in it. Only 5,000 of these are produced. I believe they are $59.99 price tag. I'm not sure. I definitely going to find out, because this is something I'm sort of interested in. Might have to purchase one of these. But the artwork, an incredible artist in his own right. He's been on this show. He hails from Brooklyn, like myself. Craig Kreinler is responsible for the artwork on this beautiful looking set that soon might already be out. I'm not sure the release date. So it's either out or coming soon, but definitely check that out. That's the Centennial Negro Leagues Legend set, 184 cards. Of course, Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron, Satchel Paige, and the list goes on and on. So a great set celebrating the history of the game, done by legendary artist Craig Kreinler. Check it out.
I know the chunky that left these chunkies. Newman! Open the door, Newman. I know you're in there.
Hello, Jerry. All right, it's time for Newman's Rambling, where I select one question I get each week and answer it on the air.
John, you seem like an astute man.
Thank you, Mr. Walken.
Maybe you can help explain something to me.
Well, I'll give it my best shot. This question comes to us from Instagram, from BBCards315. And he asked me, you have an interview guest each week. How would you describe your own interview style, and how have you gotten better since you started the show? It's actually a good question. I know the answer, but I never really thought about it until you asked the question. It's easy. My style is really just two people having a conversation, and I even tell this to the guest, before we even start the interview. I usually have some pre-conversation, obviously. I really only write down a couple questions to start. It's really, I think sometimes if you write down too many questions, I don't like to script things out. Even when I was a football coach, a lot of coaches nowadays, they script like the first 15 plays out. I didn't really like to do that, because so much can change during the course of a game. Well, so much can change during the course of an interview. So I like to just go where the conversation takes us. And, I'll be honest with you, I get a lot of feedback on the interview style that people feel like it's just two people at a restaurant or a bar top just having a conversation and they're eavesdropping. And so that's kind of my style. It's just conversationalist. Just 1, 2, 3 questions written down, and then wherever the conversation goes. As far as I try to get to know my guest before I even bring them on. And what I mean by that is get their bio, their background. I don't really need notes. I mean, I take some, but I just know about them just naturally. And I think it comes across, or I hope it comes across in the conversation. And I'd call them more conversations than interviews. Interviews is a list of questions. You go for a job interview, and that supervisor's got that yellow legal pad open with all those questions they're about to fire at you. I've done interviews like that, both sides, and it's not really natural. It's kind of scripted. It's sort of uncomfortable for, I think, sometimes both parties, even the interviewer who's asking some of these questions. What's your biggest strength? What's your own self-admitted flaw, and that sort of thing. And so, I think sometimes just coming off the cuff and just writing a couple things down and going where the conversation goes plays really well. I've gotten a lot of feedback about that, and so I think, it sort of sets me a little bit apart, I think, from others, is that it's just natural, sort of unforced conversation, if I may be so bold. How have I improved from the early shows of interviews, especially in the interviews? If you listen to the early, some of the early interviews, one thing I was not good at is I would and sometimes I still do it by accident, but I cut maybe the person talking off because something's really on my mind and I'm scared I'm going to forget it. I got to get it out there. But I've learned to just kind of let them finish their thought before interjecting mine. And I'm going to be honest with you, maybe this is showing my age, but if I write anything down a lot of times during the interview, it's just a thought I'm having, my own, so I don't forget it. Not so much a question, but just a topic or something on my mind that I want to come back to. And so, don't get old, folks. Sometimes it's not pretty, but, I'm kidding, sort of. So that sort of thing. And I've gotten better at just kind of letting them say what they have to say, and then, my turn to talk. And some days I'm better at it than others, but definitely a lot better than I used to be. And that just comes from experience and doing more of them and being a lot more comfortable. I think in the early shows, there's a little nerves there, and I'll be honest with you, I don't get nerves really anymore. At least not anywhere near like I used to. I really feel like I know these folks, and some of them I obviously do. I've interviewed people I've met in person and whatnot, and two people talking, and that's how I approach it. And just comfortable level like that. And the other way I've improved is just the editing process, taking out a lot of the knows and ums. I say and probably some ums in there, and I try to cut those out and clean it up as best I can. And so I've gotten better in the editing process. I don't cut any of the interview out itself, but I just clean up maybe some of the dead spots and the oohs and ums and and so it's more proper English, if you will. More when I edit, it's more me than the guest. I always joke with the guest and tell them I'll edit this, but it's more on my side of things than yours. And so I really love, if I can add this too to kind of close out this segment, I really love the interviews. We've done them now every episode. I don't know how many straight now, and very important to the show. We're an interview-based show. We're going to be that on this show. There's Hobby Quick Hits, which is no interviews, just a topic. We cover that gamut, and so I just love what we're doing with each of the shows. Each of the shows are different from each other, and that's one thing when I finally decided to even do another show with Hobby Quick Hits. I didn't want it to be the same thing times two. And there's plenty of podcasts out there. There's hundreds of them. So I definitely wanted to kind of fill its own niche. And I think we've done that. The show's doing well. It's a great question. I'm glad I got to answer, and I hope I did your question justice.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Commence interview sequence.
All right, real happy to have my next guest on the One of One Card Shop guest line. He's one of the artists of the Topps 2020 project. We all know what a big success that's been. He's worked for ESPN, Universal, Foot Action, Pepsi, many other brands. He has his own company, Art Tech Creative. I don't want to make him wait any longer. Welcome Andrew Thiele to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And you're an author of 2 books. I forgot to mention that.
Well, I mean, that's small. Yeah, I mean that's it was.
Well, hey, listen, I'm a credit where credit's due guy, so I left that out. And I wanted to make sure I got that in there. New York City's, you're from New York like myself.
Well, technically I'm from New Jersey, but
my
life, yeah. So
yeah.
Technically, I grew up in New Jersey, right over the bridge. But my whole life, I've been over this bridge every single day of my life.
Yeah. Well, it's in your blood, so to speak.
It's 100% in my bloodline. It's not where I was born, but it's where I became a man. Is what you say.
Yeah.
You know. Mm-hmm.
But you've also, where I was going to, Andrew, is you, and I've heard you say this, is New York City is a big part of your inspiration and where a lot of your art comes from. I've seen your stuff even outside of the Project 2020 stuff, and I always tell my listeners, as great as this 2020 commission stuff is, check these artists' work out before that. They didn't just show up for the 2020 project, and I've looked at a lot of your stuff. It's just incredible work. I wanted to just say that, and even looking at those works, you can see the NYC influence there, and I love being from there myself. It's I'm biased, but I love to see it. And, kind of speak to that, like you said, you're originally from Jersey, but, New York City's a big part of your life.
Overall, I think that as artists, you kind of take in what's around you, right? So you take in, what you're affected by, what you see, and in every single day, it's this, environment to me speaks a lot. It's the stuff around you, and in New York, you have everything from graphic design and advertising you see on posters, to signage, to graffiti, to street art, to people. And it's just really just, a fast-paced environment where everyone, is just trying to kind of get your attention. So when you're looking around every day, you always find something new, and that plays a role. And even like the buildings and the architecture within the decay plays a lot in my work. But how it even goes back, and you can see it in the cards, is when you think about, when you see a bunch of posters getting ripped off a building, and you see a little bit of this poster and a little bit of that. It's just layers upon layers, and that's part of my process is when I'm walking down the street, right downstairs of my studio, I see the local kind of posters. Every few weeks you grab posters that get clumped up together, and you almost like kind of take down literally 4 inches thick wide of posters, and it looks like a wall, and then you just kind of like re-wet them and take them apart, and it becomes just a history almost in itself.
Yeah.
And that played a part in my regular work. And when I do work such as the Topps project, which is baseball, or any sort of commissions or other work, all those layers kind of I work in my art to tell the story of the subject that I'm working with.
And you do a great job. I watched a video from one of your art shows, and you came up and you grabbed the mic, and you said something that really hit me, and it was great to hear. And it's you're not the first person to say it, but the fact that you said it to me means a lot. You kind of told those in the audience, those in the crowd, like whatever your passion is or whatever you want to do, do it. Go for it. Basically, this is what I wanted to do. I'm an everyday guy, and here I am. But whatever your thing is, to do it. And I think it's a great message. I was glad to hear you take that moment to get that out there. And it just takes one person to hear that and act on it. And who knows what you can become or what you can do. And I think the youth of today. Or anyone in general, it's a great message that we need to get across more. That, a lot of people think, I can't do it, or I don't have what it takes, or I don't know anybody. You got to know somebody, and that's not always. I mean, sometimes that helps, truth be told, but that's not. Hard work and desire and passion also speak volumes and can take you where you want to go. And I think that's, I don't want to, I'll have you I think that's what you were trying to really get across.
Well, it feels good, and thank you so much for even, sometimes even when you're speaking, or you don't really know who's really listening. So, you even bringing that up, shows like, thank you for, actually researching that and seeing that. But, it's something, I think I was, I always get asked to speak at schools and stuff. And when I do, it's never, I always say, we could talk about art. I mean, we could talk about art all day, finding your voice and speak about, that. But I think most importantly, what if I was going to drive any point, is that I just don't think that it gets highlighted as much as just people doing what they love. If anyone really knows me, it's like, my biggest thing is like I'm very blessed to think about even the Tops project. I was collecting cars at 8 years old. And if you would have told an 8-year-old me that, that I would have my own baseball card one day, that I was going to get paid to make those cards, it sounded crazy. And then if you would have told the 12-year-old me that I was, drawing graffiti and, putting my name on, people's things that I could do, take that and turn that into a living, it just sounds surreal. And, every day to me, I'm very fulfilled because I just love doing what I'm doing. I don't really need to do anything else. And it's a blessing that I was given. But I feel like everyone has that blessing, right? They have, they have something around them. Even you do this show, this must be a real passion, something that you wanted to do. And I think that it's just a tremendous thing of just, wanting to do what you love every day. And I feel like if you're not really doing that, it's almost like, it's your purpose. It's why you're here, is really to pursue everything. It's just to give everything, you got. And I never wanted to, to see someone who, works a regular, job at a cuticle and then one day just say, damn, I should have done this, or I should have pursued that, because at the end of the day, you're going to look back with regrets of not pursuing that. And, I want people, to have that and just grab, opportunity. Like even, the video game market right now. Think about all those kids who used to play video games now, have a career within video games. It's an awesome thing. And, I really want, think it's important for people to, to be the best that they could be. It doesn't need to be also in just one area, right? Like, you could want to love baseball, but maybe you're not going to be a third baseman on the field, but maybe you could be some sort of an exec behind the scenes, or maybe you could do marketing and that. So I really, want people to discover that. And I think it's important because, we have one life to live, and you really should do what you love. And I think that's a really important thing.
No, it's a great message. I'm glad you're sending it and going to schools and getting that message out there, Andrew. That's huge. When did you, for art in your life, did you do it at a young age? And when did you know, like, hey, this is something I really want to do, like long term, and make a career out of it?
I mean, art has always been a part of my life. I can't say that I learned it from anyone. I wasn't passed down. It was something that I gravitated to, and I really loved it. I loved art, and then specifically, just even graffiti in New York City. It was just another identity. So when you're a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old person, and you're trying to find a voice in your world, and you start putting your name up places, and you kind of meet people through that, and that creates something, and then through that, then you start learning learning to love letters, and from learning to love letters, and the time I was graduate high school, and I wanted to think about what I wanted to do. I kind of knew I wanted to do that, but I don't think I was talented enough to be an artist. Like, who's going to really pay you to do this? So I got into design at that time, and then so maybe I was around 18 or 19 when I started to take the love of like type, and then learn typography and the computer programs, and I was out and about with clubs and stuff like that, and then I started to do flyers, and then from me doing all the flyers and stuff, I met a lot of DJs, and from me meeting DJs, I met other people, and for a long time, that's really what I did was focus on the design work, and then maybe and I was always doing art, like, so art was always there. So you had what I did for others, and then what I had that I was doing for myself. It just, until it wasn't, say now, because it's been, that was over 20 something years ago, right? And also I've been an entrepreneur since I was 21 years old, own company, my own office and everything, kind of, doing that, and then trying to sneak in my art projects throughout. And then maybe you could say maybe 7-8 years ago is when I kind of said to myself, you know what, I need to really focus on what I'm doing for myself more than what I want to do for others. It just was like an invisible line that kind of came up, and then I started focusing on my art more, because people and that's why I love you mentioned the Jordan documentary before, when we were speaking offline, but I appreciate greatness, and I appreciate I just hearing the Kobe stories of how he's in the gym early, and he's doing, and and that's how I am. I mean, I think my family hates it and other people, but they'll tell you that I'm very dedicated to just trying to be better at what I'm doing. And then, on the opposite side, I'm not trying just to, to make art for our sake, but also, what are you trying to do with your art? Like, what is it supposed to mean? What is it supposed to portray? And this is my craft that I take super, super serious. So just trying to be the best that I can be, with that. And then, every day count my gratitude and saying, that my doors open up, because that's the energy that I put out there. I think that's been a beautiful thing.
Yep, and even listening to kind of you telling your chronological history, there's a message in there that you started somewhere and then built that up, but you had to work hard each and every day. And it was a process. It wasn't like you turned on a light switch.
Yeah, and the only thing I would like to correct you with, because you said it was a process, it still
It
is a process.
Yeah.
Because people just think that it just comes, because, and it's actually, harder now than ever. Just because you got to keep it going, and that's the thing, right? It's just, again, going back to the Jordan, some people would have been happy with some of those rings, but when he lost, he got everyone together and said, you know what, we're gonna go to the gym harder this summer. It's a mentality that you got to also trick yourself to know that, even as simple as, listen, I love, it's not competition, because you mentioned competition, even competition with other artists. It's not competition with other artists, right? It's really competition yourself to be the best version of yourself. But no, you got to know that somebody out there wants the seat that you're in. And if you're not giving your all to what you do, then it's somebody's out there is willing to do that. And I don't take it on that note. I don't take any of that for granted. You have to be very blessed that you have these opportunities, and that's the same thing is, even with this call of you saying, be on a podcast and speak about what you do, you need to humble yourself and know that it's a great thing that people want to see your stuff. Want to see what you want to do.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that, because anyone listening to the show, it's almost every episode. At some point during the episode, I'll thank everyone and basically say, listen, I don't have the show without you listening to it, and I want to acknowledge that you're taking time out of your day. You don't have to; it's a choice you make, and I want to acknowledge that and say thank you. So you're right, and I get to appreciate doing something I'm passionate, and it's those folks that allow me to do it. We're going to step aside for a very quick break, but we'll be back with more Andrew Thiele. One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire. Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like One of One. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way. You mentioned collecting cards as a youth. Were you big into it? Kind of give us a little bit of your card background, even as a younger man.
My card bar. I said something in an interview that's going to make my mom got my mom mad, and I'm gonna have to say it again because it's the truth. I mean, I wasn't a big collector based on what I had. I don't know how much money I was able to kind of get a card, and I don't even know what cards were. But I mean, I only got what I was able to get. But I do know I did collect. If you had $1 or $2, that's what you really wanted, and you would open up a pack and hope to get something. And there was I still can't, I can't tell you of a feeling that of getting a magical card, but I did have the gift to gab as a kid, and I found out if another kid collected some cards. I was definitely trying to trying to swindle my way in there and do a trade that was probably absurd. And I had that quality since I was I'm ashamed to say, but yeah, definitely remember it taught you a bartering system. And also think about in the collecting, it also taught you community, right? You're meeting somebody who does the same thing as you, and you have something of value, and you're saying, hey, what about if you have this? Can we do this? Like that I remember that very very clearly, but it wasn't like I was buying a ton of stuff. It's just when I could get, that's what we had, and I do remember that I appreciated those moments. And looking back at it, even when I mentioned, an 8-year-old self or 10-year-old self, I remember those. I remember. I don't remember much of the time, but I do remember, that being a passion, and I think it's a great thing, right? It's being a fan of something, just loving, and having a love and passion for anything. It's a great thing. So
and like you mentioned earlier, here you are collecting cards as a kid, and now here you are these years later, and you're creating them for the brand of Topps. And I mean,
that's amazing.
It's surreal, right? And kind of talk to how did that all kind of come about? Kind of give us the backstory. How did you and Topps connect, and to what we know is going on now?
Yeah. Well, I found out through the opportunity through a manager, and he said, I have something very perfect for you. And then, that's how it all started. And it couldn't have, again, came at a better time because, it came at a time of, reality of, a pandemic where it was kind of, it was kind of crazy, and everything else kind of slowed down, so I don't know if I say had or have, big things I was supposed to start doing, and but they all kind of got put on hold, and then also on the upside of that, on the good note is like, think about even the release. When they released it, it was perfect for the brand because people had time, and in a time without sports, it gave people something to look forward to. People had the time to actually, sit and look at things. I think that also gave people a lot of more time, because that's the thing about, especially in New York City, is everyone's too busy to do this and too busy to do that. And when I have time, I'm going to do this. When I have time, I'm going to do that. Now you have more time. So I think people, really were getting, when done right, we're getting involved in people's content. And I think Topps came, and they, and it came out of a really great time, and I couldn't have asked it for any more on both levels. It also, something that I've been wanting to do was, remember I'm always trying to get better at my craft, was trying to work on my portraits, and it gave me time. Like each one of the pieces, I probably have 2, 3 other, different styles and different ways, just because, I spend so much trying to, I try and make everything better. So I'm not saying I probably wouldn't have before, but I spent a lot of extra time just, analyzing each piece and trying to have each piece be better than the last, and also it being, as best it could be. I did a lot of research and found all these old card, I shouldn't say card, but I found these people who do like old baseball portraits, and it was phenomenal. And, I really didn't look at, the roster artists I was, was going to be around me, but I was definitely looking more at the older, artists, and we want to make sure that if they ever saw my stuff, that I was, that they would like it, and I was proud of the work that I put out, and that was very, very important.
No, and this is going to come a little bit out a few weeks after we actually record, but you've done at this point, at time of recording, you've done Jeter, Koufax, Trout, Ryan, and Mays, and I'm looking at this list, Andrew, and it's definitely New York centric. You got obviously Jeter's a Yankee, Koufax a Brooklyn Dodger. You got Trout, who hails from Jersey, even though he plays for Anaheim.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you got Nolan Ryan as a Met, even though he's not necessarily known later on in his career, and Willie Mays as a New York Giant. So the odd man out isn't really the odd man out. Trout is from New Jersey, so it's got a sort of a tri-state feel to it right off the bat. I just, when looking at all the releases that you did, I really popped to me, and I noticed that. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I actually didn't even I didn't think about that, because for me, from early on, everyone around me was asking about the Jeter, and they was asking about the Gooden. That was like the ones, and even the Mattingly is probably my father and somebody else. So those are the ones that they were definitely asking for. So, but I think in my next releases I have Cal Ripken coming up, Mark McGwire coming up. Those are the next I think 2 cards, I believe. So I think when this drops, those will be
already out potentially. And I got to ask you this, just with the Jersey connection. I mean, I'm sure you're very, just being probably the greatest baseball player we have right now, Mike Trout. That Jersey connection, can you speak to it at all?
Whoever you're doing, you have a responsibility to not even yourself, but you're putting something out to the world. So once you put something out to the world kind of owns their view on it. And again, whether it be Tony Gwynn or Frank Thomas or or Bob Gibson, it could be any of the players. There's somebody out there that really loves a player, that player means so much to them, and I get those messages every day. And that's your responsibility. So I had I guess you could say, connection. I have a family line of Yankee fans, and I have a friend line of Mets fans. So I have that, but that doesn't mean anything to me. It's more it's just making sure that that the product you're putting out, this person means something to someone, and you need to tell their story the best you can through their art. And I think that's the most important. Is making sure that the people that love them, you're giving the best, reinterpretation of them, and I think that's where it's at, and that's my mental process of doing that.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And like you said, you sort of feel like you got a little responsibility here to tell that story or honor the fans that love that particular player. I'm not trying to make you feel any more pressure than maybe you already feel, but I think even some of the players who are still with us are probably looking at these cards or hearing about them, or family members. Hey, here's your latest, artist Andrew Thiele did this one of you. What do you think? Who's better? Is it better than the last one? So you gotta also think, some of these actual players are seeing your renditions of them. So not to make you not to turn the boiling water up anymore, but I think a little bit of that's going on.
I tell you what, there's nothing. You can see you see the real deal of the from the online community. So you gotta good or bad, that's what you have to kind of think about. But I think though, all the artists are super great, and I think that's why they were chosen.
Yeah.
They weren't just some the people who spent a lot of time working on their craft, and maybe you don't like quote unquote the card, but that card is probably not for everyone. Everyone has different. You have to understand that everyone has a different style of of art, and that's what makes it very unique. Is that's what was chosen, where people were successful at doing their style and their interpretation of art. And love it or hate it, and maybe it's not for you. And that's but I think everyone is taking pride in the work they're putting out. And I think it's good. Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of art, Andrew. Is everyone has a different. I don't want to see 20 artists that kind of have the same style. That's. I'm glad that everyone's putting their own spin or their own interpretation or perspective. That's what makes the project what it is. And one person may say, "Man, I love that trout that you did," and then that other person, But that's the beauty in itself, right there, is that it's the same card, and you're getting two different opinions on it. You can't, you can't please everyone. You never will. I mean, that's the story of life. But I think more people. And if you look at how successful this venture's been, I think there's a lot more people who love it than don't, and that in itself speaks volumes. I'll even use myself here for an example. I'm not a huge Jeter fan. I'm a Met guy. And I don't dislike Jeter, but he's just I don't like him as much as many other people do. And when your Jeter dropped, and I saw it, and it was incredible, obviously. And I'm like, holy crap! And I told my son. And he knows how I'm like, I'm not even a Jeter guy. I want to buy some of these. This is insane. Look at this card. And that's the beauty, is you can make someone like myself, who's not really a huge Jeter guy, appreciate the work and the craft. I'm going to add these to the arsenal. I'm not even, it's just too good not to have.
And that's really also some of the success, that some of the cards have. Are based on the momentum of the program. Could be and then it could be of, because Trout is like super hot right now, right? It could be, certain cards, do well more than others, but, you have those alone, and I can't tell you how many messages I had just saying the same thing, and, most Mets fans, when you're really a true Met fan, you usually don't really, you dislike, all the Yankee stuff. So, I definitely got personal messages about that. But, it feels good that, again, it feels good that your work is being appreciated, and that's what we're here to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, and all your stuff. I know I said it's just insane, man, incredible work. I mean, Koufax, like all the Brooklyn Dodgers. To me, my dad grew up and basically lived in Ebbets Field. I was born in 70.
Oh, nice.
I was born in 72, so they were already out of Brooklyn, but being from Brooklyn, I have a fond appreciation of them, what they meant to my dad. Me and my dad in the 80s actually wrote to a lot of the retired Brooklyn Dodgers, told them, we wrote them a letter and telling them what they meant to my dad in the city, and many of them, wrote back letters and sent autographs back, and I still have them all. They're in the book. My dad has his own book, and so just the history of the Brooklyn Dodgers. I'm a huge Jackie Robinson guy, so I've told this story on the show before. There's probably people listening to this right now. So, John, we've heard this already, but you haven't, so here it goes. As a kid in Brooklyn, every book report, every essay I had to write was about Jackie Robinson. That was my guy. To the point, teachers had to say, John, we're about to give out an assignment. You've got to pick someone else other than Jackie Robinson. And so he's always been, I've had a personal connection. Like I said, going back to my dad. My dad lived in Ebbets Field as a kid and a younger teenager, and Jackie Robinson, obviously, and all the players of that era are mean so much to him. So I'm always curious when the jackies come out to see how they're done. They've all been, it's easy for me to say, but they've all been really tremendous. And seeing your Koufax in the Brooklyn, seeing that facade of Ebbets Field, that famous front facing, is seeing. I showed my son, and because we've both been talking a lot about the I said, look what Andrew Thielen's card of Koufax. He captured that Ebbets Field facade, and I think that's so cool and important, and it's just a legendary part of Brooklyn. And even though it's not there no more, it's still ingrained in the heart and soul of the city. And seeing you have it on the Koufax card, it's just a great touch. And
I try to, and that's what I said. I try to put a little history in everything that I do. And even right there, just seeing the year, what that was, memorabilia from that, the team. Because remember, I said I like to work in layers. I work in the portrait kind of like separately, and then separate than that, then thinking about what I said about bringing outside inside in terms of my regular art of just building up those textures and and those elements. That's what I did with some of those cards. So I would actually look at what the memorabilia was from the Brooklyn Dodgers, what was the year, any and all that stuff. And I try to get all those things from different from different sources and try to combine it all to make one thing. And I'm glad you saw those little details, because that's what really that's what makes it real special. And it's hard to really see in the way they put it out, especially on Instagram or or on a baseball card is small compared to most of my stuff is big pieces, right? So you can actually see more of that detail.
Well, I think that's a testament to your work, that even though it's been, I'm looking for the word, I don't want to say miniatures, but scaled down, that still shines through and comes through. And it was really, other than seeing Koufax itself on the card, it's the next thing I was drawn to, and I'm like, that's awesome right there. And
thank you so much.
One more fast break, and we'll be back with Andrew Thiele. The Star Stock selling platform is fully live and fully functional. It's fast becoming one of the premier sports card marketplaces. They aim to be the fastest, most efficient place to buy and sell your cards. They offer no ingestion fees. They do all the legwork, scan your cards to the site, and cards are held safely in the secure vault. Their 5% sales commission is one of the lowest in the industry. Currently, they are looking for rookie and prospect cards, and now they also are accepting graded cards as well. If you're interested in selling on the site, please email Mike at the following email address: mike@starstock.com. We are back once again with Andrew Thiele. I guess my next question is once the cards come out, how much attention? I know you're on to you sort of focused on the next one at hand, or thinking about the next couple, like you mentioned. How much?
My cards are many. Most of my cards are done. I did a lot
ahead
early,
of time.
So but I sit with them. That's what I meant about during the time. I sit with them and see, you go back to things, and sometimes you rework things because as an artist, right, you're always kind of critical, but other times too, you think about, what's are you giving the best version of yourself? Are you giving the best version of the card? So I definitely went back to them.
I was going to ask you, how do you do that? Do you look at something and say, you know what, I like this, but I'm not fond of that, I can do better? Like, how often does that occur?
I'm going through it right now. I got two. I have my two next cards. That's what I'm going through.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. They're good cards, but do they wow you? I'm kind of going through it. What some people see and say it's done, but I'm just sitting there. It's like it's a cool card, but something's a little bit missing, right?
Yeah.
And you go through that because again, each card is different. Besides of the assets given to you are pretty important. Because they give you a certain energy. They give you a certain feeling, and you kind of play off of that. And on that note too, it's just it's again you're playing off like that energy, and they're trying to bring like a new energy to it.
Yeah.
And it's, specifically like even the next car is my Mark McGuire, and I have a very beautiful card, but I'm like, this doesn't just say the whole story.
Yeah.
Do you have? And also, I don't think you need to have some sort of. I do believe that you can't go too far away from the card.
Yeah.
So I like to keep the same picture as the middle, as people see it, but I want to reinterpret it, in a different way.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and again, it's fun stuff. You see where it goes, and I'm sure it's going to go somewhere great.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I guess maybe a better question I should have asked you was, how many times have you done a card so far, and you said, man, I mean, honestly, not being a cat, but that's it. I nailed it.
That's it. And that doesn't really happen till the end.
Yeah.
Because you're always saying, what else can I do? I know even for the Jeter and some of the other cards, I know the storyline was, and even the Mariano one, the storyline was there, and the Ripken one was really, the storyline and everything's really good. I mean, as an artist, sometimes it's good to take it away, because I could just, I could agonize myself and kind of go over things, because that's the thing. I have kind of different styles in my approach to art making, so it's never 1, 2, 3 and it's done. So sometimes I'm feeling a little bit a little bit more, you say, looser, and other times a little bit more rigid in terms of abstraction versus perfection. So that's why in reality there's always going to be different versions, and it's hard to it's good to have a deadline so you could kind of put it to bed.
Yeah.
If not you're gonna
Go
again
nuts.
you don't want
Start
to
crazy.
and that happens. Most people say just leave it alone already.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I always kind of that's probably the thing I ask creatives the most is about, what they're doing with time, and, maybe I should just have a game mentality where, the game is this long, and that's, that's what's going to happen. But, stuff takes time, and, I really put a lot of time into it, and sometimes I maybe put too much time, who knows?
No, I think, I think your style and your creativity and I mean, like I said, all of them. I know I mentioned a couple with specifics, but even the other ones we didn't talk specifically about are just. I know, when you hear a lot of the comments, a lot of the stuff you're doing is drawing some really great reviews, and so that's my next question. Which you sort of having a little bit of time, are you paying much attention to the secondary market, once Topps releases them?
No, I mean secondary in terms of selling, or in terms of
just what they're selling for, eBay and on the second.
No, not yet. I have a store that's launching in a few weeks, so it'll probably be up, when this is out, and then I'm going to be doing some signed editions, and have some special some special stuff that that's going to launch with that. Because I really wasn't really aware of it, and I was just really connecting with people who would reach out to me. And I loved it for what it was, and then someone really, put in my head, was like, listen, you're not understanding this how this whole thing really works. And then I was like, oh, that's why I have, over 100 emails saying I need this to get signed. So at first I was like, yeah, sign this and this. I didn't know what it was, and I just, said, hey, it's no work to sign something, and then someone's like, no. This is, there's a market for it, it's a value. So somebody, I'm just getting to, I'm getting involved in that. But
but that's
more of where I've been was just the connection to
and there's something pure in that. There's almost something pure in not knowing all the stuff and just focusing on the subject.
And that's what I like. I like the purity of, I feel like also in, you have art making, and then you have the art world, right? And in the art world, there's a lot of hype that goes in it. It's not baseball or basketball where, where somebody does X, Y, and Z, and here are their stats, and I don't care what you say, if they're good, they're good. in the fine art world, you have a Rothko and Rembrandt, and two different kind of people, and how could you ever compare the two? And then, there's pricing on both of them. So it's hard to compare it, and a lot goes into, the art world, whereas hype is who you know, is how you're building your stories, how you're building this. And there is, I shouldn't say, it is something unpure about that.
Yeah.
And then there was something very pure when, you're doing something and somebody just reaches out to you because, say for instance, like your story, about, Koufax or something like that. And they're just saying, hey, I just want to say, you did a really great job and that touched me. That makes it special for me more than anything else.
Yeah.
And, getting involved for the secondary market. I mean, I'm more in tune to the reaction of the art.
Yeah.
And everything else, but I am going to have, some sort of store. So.
No, I appreciate that, and that you're like that. You just you get more out of someone saying, "Hey, I saw this on the card, and I thought of my dad," or it was a beautiful thing, and I'm glad you put it on there, and that does more for you than any kind of dollar sign or things like that. And it makes sense. It really does, and I appreciate that. You're like that, and you said that. So I know I'm excited. For what's to come next. You kind of teased me and those listening. Of what's next, and everything you've done so far, man. Is to me's been a home run. Do you feel any pressure? I know you've done a good portion of them already, but did you feel any internal pressure? Did you know? I love the Jeter. Out of the ones you've done, I think that's your best. They're all great. I'm not trying, but to me, that's like your platinum album, if you will, in my opinion. Did you know? When you were done with it, did you do you know yourself, or do you I hope it's are you a little bit?
Well, I say I had more. I knew the responsibility of that. Because you have to understand, I grew up with Jeter, so love him or not, I remember when he came to the city. I remember the Yankees. I spoke with the winning with the first World Series and the feelings. When your team wins, there's a certain feeling of the city. It's an amazing feeling. And regardless of anything, Met hat, Yankee hat, always got either one. And you go into the elevator, you're gonna hear something from somebody. And that's just the way the way things is. So Virginia in particular, I knew the responsibility, of that, and that's why, I kind of added him. You saw him coming to the city, stepping on the field, and then you see him coming off the field.
Yeah,
I thought that was important, and I think now, thinking about the other cards and stuff like that, most of the bases are done, meaning the portraits and the composition, but I think those details because every one of those players, right, are Jeter in some capacity. They're all major players that mean a lot to people, right? So, I don't know if you say, the pressure, but I think it's important to tell everyone's story as best as possible, right?
Yeah, and I tell you what, you're doing. The 5 cards, you've done an incredible job. I can't wait to see. Not all at one time. I don't want it to be over that quick, but I can't wait to see the next 15.
In particular, looking forward to.
Well, like I said, I'm a Jackie Robinson's my guy, so I just wait on for everyone's interpretation, rendition of Jack. But the project's been so great, Andrew. I've really gotten into it more than I truth be told, and I thought I was going to, and I love what's going on. So it's more than Jackie Robinson's my guy, but I'm into every new every day when they release the 2 cards. I want to see what 2 cards they are and what they look like. So it's more than Jackie Robinson. I guess would say is my favorite player. But I love the whole sport, and in this case, the whole commission, the whole project, and just seeing what's next. And so, it's just been great. Like you said, even though obviously we all wish that the pandemic didn't happen. I think this project really launched at the perfect time for what was going on in the world, and really, it's not going to replace baseball per se, but it definitely made it easier to not have baseball. I'll put it that way. It made the blow, it lessened that blow, if you will.
Yeah, they definitely, it's definitely, think about watching like ESPN, and it's like, about what they're talking about. People don't understand how every day how they consume sports to a certain capacity of giving something to talk about, something to look at, and I think that it made everyone realize really the time and how it plays a role in our lives. And I think most people more than ever would want to go to a game now more than they ever would, right?
No doubt.
So,
yeah. Well, Andrew, I know you're busy, and I appreciate you giving the show a little time. The work's been outstanding, incredible. I'm looking forward to what's to come.
Much.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to have you back maybe later on in the year.
Yeah.
We'll talk about what's come out even since this episode and kind of coming down the home stretch. I'd love to have you back on and kind of do a recap. And I always give the guest, Andrew, the final word. Anything you want to give out, websites, URLs, handles, what have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you just check me out on Instagram, arteknyc.com, arteknyc.com. And then, in about 2 weeks, which, by the time this comes out, I should have the web store opening, and I'm going to, have some goodies on there. I definitely want everyone to check out. And, my overall work in itself, I look forward to hearing from people, and, that's really what art's about, is connecting with people through what you do, right? And, there's opportunities for, just to connect with different people. So you can see my, my personal work on andrewthiele.com, and then, my other sports-related stuff at arteknyc.com. But they could get it through Instagram, because, just besides this project, I also do a lot of sports-related stuff, with projects like ESPN. I actually worked in my work in last year's World Series. Where I did this big typography piece, and there's a lot of stuff. So I would love to hear from everybody and see what you guys thought.
Well, awesome, man. Again, I can't say thank you enough. Thanks for giving us a little time. Keep it up. It's incredible work, and really look forward, and we'll have you back as this project continues.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, be safe, be well.
All right.
Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA grading submission needs. They're constantly submitting, so they are always at the ready when you're ready. They offer various turnaround levels at the lowest prices around. Cards are insured to and from PSA at no additional cost to you. And they even provide the card savers your precious cards need to be put in before being sent to PSA. They take care of that for you. And because of their elite status at PSA, they have some of the best turnaround times around. They even have group chats for each submission, so you know exactly where your status is on your cards. They have open dialogue and open communication. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook, on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards. All one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you.
We love our listeners. Without you, there is no us. We care about your opinions and feedback and invite you to reach out to us on any of our social media accounts. On Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast, Twitter at SportsCardNati1, or email the show at sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. We don't ask for much, but if you really like the show, give us a shout out. Tell your friends or give us a follow on our social medias. If you enjoy the show, please give us a positive review on iTunes or any of the platforms you are listening on. Thank you.
Well, folks, that's a wrap for episode 81 of the Sports Card Nation podcast. I want to start off my thanks by thanking you out there in Sports Card Nation itself, listening to the show, making it is what it is. And without you, there is no show. I say that all the time because it's honestly true. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Another shout out and thanks to Andrew Thiele for coming on and enlightening us with his talents and thoughts and about the his whole process and the Topps 2020 project. His work is some of the finest in the commission. I'm not just saying that, it really is. And glad he made some time. I hope to have him back on later in the year, kind of as the project is winding down, and kind of revisit him and see, some of his thoughts at that current time. And I'm going to steal something off Mike Summer. He'll read some show reviews on his show, and I thought, if someone's nice enough to give us a review and take the time out of their day, I should take the time to acknowledge it and read what they wrote. And so I'm going to do that. One a week, even if there's more than one a week, which we've been averaging, which is great. Thank you. About 3 to 4 a week, sometimes 2. Mostly positive, and I appreciate that. We have, a last check, 100 ratings and a 4.7 out of 5 ratings. Today's review comes from username Soothsayer84, and they write, simply the best out right now. John brings the content week in and week out. Love this and his other show, Quick Hits. Have you seen the guests he has had? ? Highly recommended. Well, Soothsayer84, I appreciate that. Appreciate the comments on the guest list that we have. Let's be real. Less of me, more of them is the recipe, and so that's why we try to bring you the best guests that we possibly can for your entertainment, and have less of me talking, which is the recipe for success, if you will. And I appreciate anyone that gives a review. If you want it read, please leave one. I know it's a little time consuming, but we really do appreciate it. If you want to use your real name, that's fine too. I know, I guess Apple lets you just put in sort of whatever name you want to. So I'll be reading them as they're put in there. Also want to announce a new feature on the Sports Card Nation podcast website, which can be found at www.sportscardnation.net. www.sportscardnation.net. We have it's got its own page now. The up to date, up to the day. We update it as often as things change. Hobby release calendar, and so you're going to see all the 4 major sports, and I probably let Star Wars stay on there too, and maybe some non-sports, but definitely all 4 major sports, including soccer as well. So if you want to see what's coming out up to the minute, go to the Sports Card Nation website, www.sportscardnation.net. Bookmark that. If you want, bookmark the hobby release schedule. We'll be updating that on the regular. I also want to announce we're going to start giving away more things, and I think we're going to incorporate the website as part of the giveaway. Going to the website, maybe getting a contest word and that sort of thing. So if you want to bookmark that page, we really do appreciate it. So we're going to call it a night, and we'll see you in 7 days. I want to happy to announce next week, another great Topps 2020 project artist, the only female in the lot of them, and her work is outstanding. Sophia Chang will be our guest on Sports Card Nation episode 82. That's next Friday, and we'll see you then. Thanks again, folks.
Coffee's for closers only.